Hey there, I'm Melisa Nielsen. Today we're going to talk about sort of keeping wonder alive as they get older. So this is more of a homeschooling directed video today, and it won't be very long. It's just some tips and thoughts. Our number 4 child, Samuel, Super Sam the Gnome, for some of you who have followed us for that long, he is about to be 14. So he just finished the Wish, Wonder, Surprise series of papers that they do in the 7th grade in a Waldorf setting. So a lot of families skip this. Don't skip it because it tells you so much about where your child is. So much. I think it's such an important series of papers. Eric did them for a small group of families in our Thinking, Feeling, Willing program. And it was very interesting to sort of see where all the children were. And it made me really think about something that I hadn't really thought about before, probably mostly because I'm often more concerned about where my kids are than where your kids are, unless you bring it to me and ask me, hey, I'm having a struggle with my children. But this allowed me to sort of see across the board sampling of children. And one thing that I saw that was very strange, not strange as in, oh my gosh, I can't believe that's happening, but strange to me and from this space of, like I said, I hadn't really thought about these other children, is that they were really struggling with this idea of wonder and awe. And, you know, as our children grow, I think once they're 12, especially if it's your oldest child, you're kind of like, oh, well, I'm just going to put the weight of the world on you because you're 12 years old now and you're the oldest and you're moving forward. And we sort of push them into spaces that are too old for them and too heady for them. So in a Waldorf setting, science is still phenomenon. It's phenomenon all the way through. And I think we have this academic approach in our culture, in our society to science that forgets where the beginning of that was, where the phenomenon started, and the wonder that comes from why they were studying that to begin with. So I think just in studying people and looking at children, I see so much of this loss of wonder, and it is because I believe we have pushed them into this academic space too fast, even if you're a Waldorf parent. Because I think there's this time when they're, like I said, they're like 12, 13, you go, oh, well, you got it now. And we sort of open the door where it's been just open a crack. Now we just swing it wide open and we allow them to sort of take on heady concepts that maybe they're not totally understanding from a phenomenological place. I can't believe I just said that word and I'm having trouble with it. Seriously, that's a hard word. Phenomenological. From that space versus it being just from a head space and from an academic space. So I want you to ask yourself, if you've got a child that's in this age group, what are you doing to continue to instill wonder? And you might be like, I don't even know what you're talking about. So wonder is this space of, like, you see a tiny baby and you look at their toes and you're like, oh, wow. Or Samuel, he wrote his paper on the ocean and the things in the ocean and the things in the tide pools and just the wonder and seeing the anemones and seeing the way the sea hares seem to float on the sand, and it really brought him wonder. And another child in the group wrote about the sounds in her barn where she likes to just sit and listen and have the sense of awe. So I want you to think about your child, especially if they're approaching that age, this 12-year-old space and then above and beyond, because I really believe that we have to keep that alive. And if we don't, they get harder. Their hearts get harder. They get very academically focused, and that's not a bad thing, but so much so that they forget the wonder. And we sort of have this culture of people who can think a whole lot, but can't do a whole lot. And we want them to be thinkers and doers. We want them to be able to control their will. We want them to be great thinkers that really can come up with amazing things. But we also want them to feel. We want that feeling place to be alive. And that feeling place comes from that sense of wonder, that sense of astonishment, that sense of, oh my gosh, I never would have thought of that. That's so amazing and so cool. So if you've not heard your child say those words recently, step back and ask yourself, how can I instill wonder? What can we do? What experiences can we have out in nature, going on a nature walk? What things can we slow down in our life so that we can actually feel the wonder around us? Ask yourself that. And it's fun. Have a good time with it. Don't be stressed out like, oh no, my child doesn't wonder. I do believe you can get it back for sure, by just providing these sorts of experiences for them. Bring to them these times. But if you've lost wonder, if you don't have wonder, if there's nothing that surprises you and nothing that gives you a sense of, oh wow, then you might want to get it back first, and then you can work on them getting it back. So ask yourself, what gives me wonder? What things do you seek every day? There are things that give me wonder that I never would have thought of. Like one thing that gives me wonder, hummingbirds. Hummingbirds give me wonder. I love hummingbirds. We had this little hummingbird outside our bedroom window. He's like in this palm tree across the alley from us, and I can see him in the morning. And I've named him Hummy. And I love to sit in my bed or lay in my bed and watch for Hummy because he gives me wonder. And then when I see another hummingbird on the street, my kids are like, Mom, do you think that's Hummy? And I just sort of laugh and go, it's probably Hummy. I love plants like birds of paradise. Just look at plants. The birds of paradise plant, so interesting to me. It's so strange. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you might think I'm up. And then I look it up on the internet. It's such a strange plant. The way it opens, and then it's almost wet and sticky and gooey. It's so interesting to me. There are some very strange plants here. Very strange nature phenomenon. Like Samuel, I am in awe of the ocean all the time. When we go to the tide pools and I get to just watch all of the things rushing in and rushing out, just the tide itself instills awe and wonder in me. Just the passage of time, looking at the moon. So ask yourself, what instills wonder in you? And pass that on to your children. And be very careful not to judge what instills wonder in them. It might be different than what instills wonder in you. It might be something very weird or very strange in your thinking, but it might instill wonder in them. So with that, I hope you have a wonderful week. Drop us a note if you have any questions, and we'll see y'all later.